Okay, I think we're good. Okay, hi everyone. Sorry you have to listen to me again, but just the name of the game at this point. So I wanted to hop on, I think you can see my screen. I wanted to hop on and show you all how to use this tool really quick because we don't have a lot of time in week 3. I think we only have like 30 to 40 minutes. So I want to be able to answer your questions for most of that and walk you through the last parts of the searching process. So I'm not going to really have any time to like show you tools or like how to use things necessarily unless you ask those questions specifically at the end. So that's why I have a bunch of those EndNote tutorials loaded and a bunch of these like translation videos. So I, at this point, have expected you to already have watched the automation tool video, the first 8 minutes. Hopefully I'm going to put them in the order in which I would like you to watch them, but it's not that serious. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to translate using that tool really fast into EMBASE and Web of Science. I have additionally another video I think uploaded that talks about PubMed and CINAHL. So the 3 databases that I'm going to recommend you use for this process is going to be PubMed and then 2 others of your choosing. So of those 2, I'm hoping that you'll pick either EMBASE, Web of Science, or CINAHL. So 2 of those 3. So I'm going to make sure that you have the tools to actually do that. So let's get started. I'm going to start by showing you how to use the tool, and then I'm going to show you how to translate using that tool. Actually, Word document here. Beautiful. So if I were doing this, I would have finished my PubMed search and I would have thrown that finished search into here. I would have marked the date and how many results I'm getting. This by no means is a systematic search at all. It's just small, so I can kind of show you how it works. Not because I would ever consider this a systematic search. It's getting like 120,000 articles in PubMed. Okay, so this would be what it would look like, and then I would underneath write out all the databases that I was translating to. So you need to do at least 3. Like I said, we already have the CINAHL one up. I'll just start here in case it's one that you decide to use. So this is my systematic search. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it into this SR-Accelerator. So the link is in the slides that I'm going to be talking about on Thursday. So you might not have this link yet. You can just type out SR-Accelerator into Google though. It's going to look like have this little green leafy thing. You can make an account. I have one. I haven't logged in months. I don't know if it still works. So the one that you're going to want to use is the polyglot search. Click on it. Here's a search that I was working on with another student earlier this week. It won't always keep, so that's why it's important to have it saved in a Word document. It's not always going to keep. I find mine do, but I don't bank on it. Okay. So here's the PubMed search. I'm going to put it into your query, and then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find the options that I want. So the first one is going to be EMBASE Elsevier. We don't have access to EMBASE Ovid, and that's why these syntax look different. We have Elsevier, not Ovid. So if I see, or like if you come to me and you're like, why isn't it working in EMBASE? And it looks like this, it's because it's the wrong syntax. So I'm going to close that. The next one is CINAHL EBSCO. That's the CINAHL one that you're going to want to use. And then if you scroll down, I'll have you all use Web of Science Basic, not Web of Science Advanced. We don't need to do that. So here's what it looks like. I'm going to start in EMBASE. So you want to do these one at a time. Beautiful. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it over, and I'm just going to plain text paste it into this Word document. Okay. So you may have noticed that these look different. So everything translates almost perfectly using this tool. So if I wanted to do this exact same search in EMBASE, this all would be the exact same. So this would search the same things as title, abstract, It kept the wildcards and it kept the quotes. It just changed them to single quotes because that's how it works in EMBASE. I don't know why. But everything down here is fine. This is all completely fine. You may want to check it a little bit because if there's mistakes up here, there's going to be mistakes down here, which is why I'm asking you to send me your PubMed searches before you start this process, because it's going to translate your mistakes. That's a waste of time. We don't want that. The things that don't translate perfectly are the subject headings or the mesh term equivalents in the other databases. So in the PowerPoint that you haven't seen yet, I talk about how each database has its own thesaurus and each thesaurus has its own name. So we have the medical subject headings, it's mesh for PubMed. EMBASE uses mtree, don't know why. Web of Science actually doesn't have a controlled vocabulary subject headings, which is why it's easiest to search, which is why I'm doing it last. And CINAHL uses CINAHL subject headings. So you got that in the other video, or you'll get that in the other video. So I'm going to focus on EMBASE because it's kind of hard to use. So everything down here is correct. One of the things I recommend doing as a beginning translator is to highlight. I don't know why I'm focusing so much on the color. I just want it to be pretty. Okay, highlighting the terms that you need to translate. So I only highlight, it's either /exb or /de. You don't need to highlight the :TIAB terms. Those are fine. Like I said, you want to highlight the things that are subject headings. So in EMBASE, that is denoted by \exb and \de. \exb is explosion. So like your explosion in mesh, you have your explosion in entry. I usually just do DE in all of my searches. And if I want to include the narrower terms underneath the term, I'll add them manually. Just makes my life easier. So this one, I didn't explode it, or I chose to explode it here. If this were a real systematic search, I probably would not have. So it would look like this, which means that not only do we have to find the term for poverty here, but we also have to see the narrow terms. I'm going to go to the MCL page. I'm going to click databases. I'm going to open up EMBASE and I'm going to open up Web of Science at the same time. It's going to let me log in once again, even though I am on campus. Right, there we go. Okay, so first things first, this is what it looks like. This is the basic search functionality. We're going to go up here and select entry. And now I'm just going to fill out my terms. You're going to have way more than one. There's only one in the sample search that I have. So I'm going to type out poverty. So one of the first things I want you to notice is that if you are looking up a term, a lot of the time they don't match perfectly. This one just happens to. But if you were looking at, like, if this were a systematic search, I would probably also be searching poverty limit and poverty threshold. So if I typed in poverty threshold, it would pop up poverty level. So right off the bat, you need to change the actual term itself to be single quotes poverty level /de. We're going to stick to poverty. Another thing is that it's going to show you synonyms here. So if you don't have these synonyms in your PubMed search, you may want to go back to that PubMed search and add them. So I already have indigency and poverty, so it's fine. But if you didn't have it, you'd want to go back up here and toss it in as a title abstract term. So just for fun. Once again, there we go. And now that's why in the PowerPoint on Thursday, I explained that it's important to retranslate between every database because you're adding terms or sometimes even taking away terms between the databases. Sometimes before I even begin translating, I work in EMBASE too. So I'm looking up terms in PubMed and I'm looking up terms in EMBASE just to make sure I'm not missing any synonyms. Here we go. Also, there are two: child poverty and extreme poverty. If we go back to mesh and type in poverty, this is once again why I fully suggest not exploding their terms, because a lot of times they don't match with the narrow terms. So if we click poverty, so this one only, well, actually, oh, it wants me to sign into Web of Science, of course. So child poverty, which is here, but this has poverty areas, not extreme poverty. So if you exploded that, you have to find the equivalent here. So you type in poverty areas, it's just asking you to use poverty. But now we're like, well, extreme poverty is a term. So if like abject, destitute would be a term that I would throw into my search. It's already in there. I don't remember what I made the search for, but I guess I did a pretty good job. It's not too bad. But then we have like extremely poor, poorest of the poor. So you probably want to just have the term poor in here too. I'm not gonna truncate that. Well, I guess what poors, which does not sound kind. But one of the things that we'll talk about is the fact that especially if you're choosing like vulnerable population terms or things like that, the terms that they were previously indexed as are not kind, and they're not appropriate. And a lot of the times that doesn't mean you can't use them. It just means that you have to make a face every time you look at it. So the term pores, I hate it. Feel gross saying it. Could be a term that they used in the 80s or the 70s or 50s, even if we're going back that far, to describe people in poverty. So we may need to pull those articles too. Anyway, didn't mean to get on that tangent, but it's an important one. So you'll go back, you'll make sure that everything is perfect and normal. It will translate to explosion or not explosion. So if this were mesh no exp, it would have put DE instead of exp, but the term itself is usually wrong. So you have to go through and do that with all of them, which is why I recommend highlighting them, and then you can go through and unhighlight them as you do it. But you'll have to bounce back and forth between mesh and the other databases, just to make sure they're as close as possible, and that you're not missing anything. So okay, that's EMBASE. It's like I said, this is all correct, but just make sure, once again, double check. I'm going to delete this and we're going to go to Web of Science. So I did add a term here, which means that now when I'm retranslating back to Web of Science, I want to take the updated mesh term or mesh search, and I want to put it into here. I'm going to close that. We're going to go down to Web of Science. I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to fold this because it's done. I don't know how many articles it pulls, but it doesn't super matter for the point of this video. Okay, and as you can see, really nothing is added here. And that's because in Web of Science, which I'll show you in 2 seconds, it's not going to work. Very cool. In Web of Science, you do a topic search, which automatically searches title, abstract, keywords. And since there's no mesh terms, we don't need to translate those. There are, I will say that both Web of Science and EMBASE have a ton of articles. So you're going to retrieve lots and lots from PubMed. You're usually going to retrieve more from both of those. So just be warned. And there's a lot of overlap between them too, which is deduplication stuff, which we're not talking about in this video. So just be warned that even searching the Web of Science core collection specifically is easier. It may have way more articles, so just be careful. There's no such thing as, unfortunately, taking the easy way out in these searches. I've tried. I have never been able to find a corner that I could cut well. So not to mean don't use Web of Science, because it's a good database. It's multidisciplinary. It's going to have a lot of like public health things. So if you have a more like psychology or social science-y question within healthcare, this one's going to be good for you to use. And also talk to me about which databases you want to use. If you don't want to use any of the ones I've suggested, totally fine. Just know that you're gonna have to relearn them. So I'm teaching you how to use 3 of them. I can teach you how to use more, but it's up to you. So we'll do topic. I'm gonna go back here and I'm going to fix it. So a lot of these terms now we don't actually need because there are duplicates. This would have been the mesh term and this would have been the title abstract term. We don't need both, so I'm just going to take the mesh term out. And then we have low income, indigent. And actually that's a duplicate too. So most of these, the rest of these, so we're fine. We have economic disadvantage, economical disadvantage, which doesn't sound fun, but okay. So this should be it. And then after you're done, you truly just copy and paste it in. It's going to be hundreds of, yeah, this is 2 million. Your search will not be this big and it will not be this broad. You're not just going to search. You want to look at low income things. You're not going to look at just like only low income terms. Okay. So Sonal is in that other video, but one of the things we can do is go back and just, I didn't make any changes to my PubMed search, so it's fine to use this one. I usually just like in habit, go back and re-paste it every time, but I'm going to do that right now. So Sonal looks like this. Here's your mesh term, and then you have to separate out the title and abstract term, so it ends up looking like this. This is correct. It just looks bad. So you'll have to go in and check the poverty term, but should be fine. And I think that's all I wanted to come on here and say. So once again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I don't anticipate that at this stage that you're at, your PubMed search will even be done, but like I said, we need to make sure that we're doing these things in a timely manner because the point of this class is to learn about critical appraisal. So making sure that this stuff gets done in a timely manner is important. Okay, thank you all. I'll see you on Thursday.